Hello, everybody. Welcome to the call. Good evening. Tonight is the final call in the six-part product training call series. Our topic this evening is one of our amazing products, the XBites, our tasty and addictive nutritional snack. My name is Joshua Fair, and I'm the Director of Compensation over at Xseed, and I'm truly excited that you guys are able to join us on the call this evening. If you've been with us week after week, a very, very special thank you to you guys out there that have been patient with us week after week going through these calls. And if you've just joined us, this call and all of the previous calls are going to be accessible on the corporate website at xseedhealth.com or on the media page in the video gallery on that site. Now, real quick, tonight we want to introduce a very, very special guest who's been doing these calls on a weekly basis for us. She's the doctor that has formulated our products over here at Xseed Health. We're very proud to have Dr. Leslie Jacobs on the call, who's going to be answering your questions about the XBites product. So, Dr. Leslie, thank you for your time here tonight, helping us learn a little bit more about the incredible products. I'm going to go ahead and turn the call over to you.
Well, thank you, Josh. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Dr. Leslie Jacobs, and welcome back to our final session on Ask Dr. Leslie. We're going to talk today about Xseed's delicious tasting, really great tasting snack, XBites. Now, XBites, again, is our delicious tasting, bite-sized, nutritious snack that literally and truly does taste just amazing. We're going to get right into the questions today and answer some of the questions that you guys have sent in to the corporate headquarters. So question number one asks, my kids love the XBites, and I am now putting them in their lunch pails to take to school with them and letting them have some when they come home from school. The label looks like they are such a great alternative than so many of their snacks on the market like chips. Is this a better alternative for them? Well, the answer is yes, and I'm glad to hear your kids love the XBites. Everybody, literally everybody, no matter what the age, kids, adults, everybody loves the taste of our XBites. But let's talk about just snacks in general, because I think it's kind of an important topic to start today's discussion with, is just talking about the snack industry in general. Now, the information that I'm going to be sharing with you right now comes directly from the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, there's some really interesting information on junk foods out there and junk snacks. The dietary guidelines for Americans in 2010, and the Institute of Medicine recommends that individuals keep their I'm going to repeat, trans fatty acid consumption as low as possible. Now, there are two really different main sources of dietary trans fatty acids, trans fats we call them, and you'll see that on certain labels of certain foods. There's naturally occurring trans fats found in small amounts in the fatty parts of meats and dairy products. Then, contrast to that, there's artificial trans fats that comes from foods that contain partially hydrogenated oils, and it's formed when hydrogen is added to the liquid oil, turning it into like a solid fat. Now, frequently, food manufacturers use these artificial trans fats in food products because it's inexpensive and it actually increases the food's shelf life, stability, and the texture. So consuming trans fats basically, unfortunately, increases LDLs, which is your low-density lipoproteins, and we've talked about that before in previous sessions, or what we call the bad cholesterol. Now, this risk factor contributes to the number one leading cause of death in the United States right now, which is coronary artery disease. Now, trans fats may also have other adverse health effects, like actually decreasing the HDL, which is the high-density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol. So they increase the bad cholesterol, the LDL, and they decrease the good cholesterol, which is the HDL. Further reducing trans fat consumption by avoiding artificial trans fats could prevent up to 10 to 20,000 heart attacks and 3 to 7,000 coronary artery disease deaths each year alone in the United States. Now, it's interesting that trans fat intake has significantly, it really has decreased in the United States over the last several years as a result of efforts to try to increase the awareness of the health effects and the complications and the ramifications, and nutrition fact labels has changed over the recent last few years, with the industry efforts to voluntarily reformulate certain foods, and some states and local governments restrictions of its use in some restaurants and other food service outlets. Now, however, on average, Americans still consume, even with all of those changes, 1.2 grams of artificial trans fats each day. Major contributors to artificial trans fats intake includes things like basically fried items. There's savory snacks like even microwave popcorn, frozen pizzas, cakes, cookies, pies, margarines, certain spreads that you use and you spread on your crackers. There's a lot of trans fat out there, and there's a lot of industry awareness right now. Another interesting thing, colon cancer continues to be the leading cause of cancer deaths as the number of newly diagnosed cases continue to grow concurrent with the rate of the American population, which is becoming overweight. Obesity and also increase because of processed food consumption. Now, this really comes to no surprise to the natural health food followers in industry who understand the magnitude of the dangerous and harmful effects, the results and outcomes related to the fried and hydrogenated food industry and the trans fat industry that faces America and the American population. Chips, and more chips, donuts, cookies. It's an enormous, enormous industry, and that's where a lot of the issues start to rise. That's why there's so much awareness on the trans fats nowadays, and now it's required to be on label. So that's just a little bit of a background on snacks in general. And yes, the answer to that question is absolutely. Is that a healthy alternative than the other snack products that are out there on the market, like the chips and the donuts and the cookies and the things that are just loaded with trans fats? The answer is absolutely yes. Now, question number 2. Since I started ordering XBites, I've noticed that my kids who are a little overweight and husband are not reaching for as many of the fatty foods or the fatty snacks and the less healthy snacks we have in the house. So I am relieved about that, and I have a better alternative for them. This isn't really a question. It was an email that was sent in, but I would like to address that email because it brings up an important topic, and that is childhood obesity. Now, childhood obesity is also becoming a growing concern. It is a result of eating too many calories and not getting enough physical activity. Did you know that the average children between 8 to 18 years of age spend an average of 7.5 hours a day using entertainment media, including TV, computers, video games, cell phones, and movies? About 7.5 hours is dedicated in viewing TV. 83% of children from 6 months to less than 6 years of age try to view TV or videos, an hour to an hour and 57 minutes per day. So the older adolescents are watching certainly a lot more TV, and then the youngers are still watching a lot more. Now, this TV viewing is really contributing, a huge contributing factor for childhood obesity because it may take away from the time children spend in physical activities. This, as a result, leads to increased energy intake through snacking and eating meals in front of the TV and influencing, unfortunately, children to make unhealthy food choices through exposure of even watching those commercial after commercial after commercial, and the advertising of certain foods on TV. So this is a little information from obesity.org. It states that over the last few decades, the occurrence of overweight in children has tripled and is now estimated that 1 in 5 children in the U.S. is overweight. Also, while more children are becoming overweight, the heaviest children are getting even heavier. And as a result, childhood obesity is regarded as the most common prevalent nutritional disorder of the United States, children, for that matter, and adolescents, and is clearly becoming one of the most common problems seen by pediatricians is childhood obesity. What are some of the consequences of childhood obesity? Well, subsequent negative psychological and health consequences like depressive disorders, poor body image, low self-concept, risk for eating disorders, behavior, learning problems. Then there is the negative health consequences like insulin resistance. There's type 2 diabetes, there's asthma, hypertension, elevated cholesterol, sleep apnea, orthopedic problems, and non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which is what we call fatty liver. So another word for fatty liver is just inflammation of the liver. So as parents, we really, really need to monitor a little closer the junk food intake and the snacks we're allowing our children to consume. We've got to just, again, being responsible parents, we've got to get a little bit more control on that. And what we allow in our house, what we buy on a regular basis, and what really allow our children to consume when they're even out of the house, we've got to be a little bit more diligent of keeping an eye on that, especially the fast food industry, which is also a very large culprit. So with that being said, replacing, I should say, potato chips and cookies and candies and cakes and donuts with a great tasting, more nutritional snack that has honey brown rice, honey nuts sprinkled with chia seeds and flax seeds. What a great alternative than the potato chips and the cookies and the candies out there. So we go into question number 3. I see on the label that XBites have chia seeds. What exactly are the benefits? Well, chia seeds actually got its name from the main word for strength and was a common food in the diets of the Aztecs and the Mayans for centuries. And the Aztecs and Mayans basically consumed chia seeds regularly, and they grinded them into flour and pressing them for oil and drinking them and mixed it even in water, just even as a drink. They consumed a lot of chia seeds because they were believed to increase stamina and energy. Then after the Spanish conquest of Latin America, the chia seeds became more obsolete at that time, and because the Spaniards began to introduce their own foods and prohibited the farming of chias, it started to kind of fade away. But then interestingly, now that the nutritionalists are noticing a lack of certain nutrients in the average American diet, they really, over the last several years, are looking back at more ancestral beliefs for some of their nutritional solutions to our, what I like to call our nutritional lacking or lack of situation that we are now facing in today's society. But what are some of the benefits? Well, they're considered a superfood, which means they give you maximum amount of nutrients with minimum calories. There are some similarities to flax seeds because, again, we have chia seeds and flax seeds, but you don't need to grind the chia seeds to get their benefits. So there is a little bit of a comparison when you compare the chia seeds and the flax seeds. So one requires grinding, and the other one does not require grinding. So, well, keeping in mind that they're the superfood, there are, again, some similarities to the flax seeds. Again, you don't need to grind chia seeds to get their benefits. But what benefits do you get, and what kind of components? Well, you get omega fatty acids, there's some fiber, there's calcium, there's antioxidants, and there's proteins. Again, a lot of similarities with the chia seeds and the flax seeds. The fiber you get from the chia seeds is excellent. Per 1 ounce of chia seed gives you up to close to 11 grams of fiber, almost half of the daily recommendations of fiber in just one day that's required with just that consumption of chia seeds. The recommended day amount of fiber is anywhere from 20 to 35 per day. Now, the chia seeds help with managing appetite by basically expanding up to 12 times its own weight. And with that expansion in your stomach, it can help manage the appetite. So by mixing it with other foods and letting it absorb some of the liquid with the foods that you ate, expands to some degree in your stomach. Also, you get the benefits of the omega-3 fatty acids and calcium, along with some antioxidant benefits. Now, question number 4. Now, we didn't have too many questions this week on chia seeds. Everybody mostly wrote in and said how much they absolutely love it. But question 4, what about the flax seeds? And we basically touched on that. And what are the benefits, and are they similar to chia seeds? And that is question number 4. Yes, many of the benefits are similar. A great source, like I mentioned, of fiber. Also a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. The average American diet falls short on omega-3 fatty acid consumption. Now, there are essential fatty acids, which means that they must be consumed because our body does not make them. So when we say essential fatty acids, we mean you have to actually consume them. Interestingly, it contains the shorter chain of omega-3 called the ALA, and is not a replacement for I'm sure most of you have probably heard the DHA or the EPA from omega-3 fatty acids. So it really does not replace that aspect of it, but that you find the DHA and the EPA in fish oil supplements. It has a different type of omega-3 called the ALA. Remember, you must grind the flax seeds to actually get the benefits of the flax seeds. You can use a coffee grinder, but we have both chia seeds and flax seeds ground of the flaxseed in our XBites, and that gives you some indication of the nutritious benefits that we have other than just a great tasting product. It also have chia seeds and flax seeds in XBites. That leads us to question number 5. We have honey in XBites. I know it is healthier, but how does it compare to the calories and sugar? And that's question number 5. That's a really good question, because let's just talk about sugar and the calories found in sugar. So if you compare, let's just use this as an example, 100 grams of granulated sugar, it comes in at about 387 calories compared to honey that comes in at about 304. So again, we don't have obviously 100 grams of honey in our products, as we've got a small amount of honey in our products. However, I'm just comparing 100 grams to 100 grams and just showing you the difference between the calorie content, rounding it off, sugar compared to honey. So honey comes in at certainly much less calorie-wise, as honey consists of 17% of water, and water has no calories. So honey does have some water in it, whereas granulated sugar contains no water. Now, the types of sugar both of these contain actually differs. Honey contains some quality proteins in addition. So in honey, you get some proteins compared to that of sugar that has 0 protein. Not that it has a lot, but honey does have some. Honey also contains vitamins versus sugar that doesn't contain any vitamins. Honey doesn't contain a lot of vitamins, but it does contain some. Sugar doesn't contain any at all. So honey certainly has a better mineral content compared to that of sugar. So you can see there that there's a lot of benefits consuming and using sugar, and putting sugar and using sugar as our sweetener in XBites, although it's a small amount, but there is some in there compared to that of sugar. So that's a really, really good question. Question number 6. Other than eating them just from the bag, which is great, what is your favorite thing to put it in? And they're asking me what my favorite thing to put in. So, boy, this is kind of a fun little question. Because I actually do have something other than eating it straight out of the bag, which is what I typically do. I usually on Saturday, my little weekend, treat for myself. On Saturdays and Sundays, I get at evening time. I have this special fat-free, or actually I should say low-fat frozen yogurt. It's a chocolate cherry frozen yogurt. It's a special brand, and it's very, very low in fat and very low in sugar. But I crush the XBites, and I put it right on top of it, and it gives me that really nutty taste. It feels like I'm having a sundae. And I also drizzle a little bit of a fat-free chocolate syrup on top that I have found. There's a certain brand that is a fat-free chocolate syrup, but I sometimes sprinkle that on. So I get the fat-free frozen yogurt. I crush my XBites on top of it, and I sprinkle a little of the fat-free low sugar chocolate syrup on it, and that's my special treat on Saturday and Sunday. But I know a lot of the kids out there are using it as a cereal in the morning. They're crushing it and putting it, mixing it in their fat-free or low-fat milk in the morning. I mean, there's just so many creative ways and so many creative things that you can actually do in XBites. Actually, the other day, I actually sprinkled some. I crushed some, and I sprinkled it actually on my salad because I had some fresh cranberries, I should say dried cranberries in there, and I kind of crushed them and put them on my salad too. So there's so many different things that you can do with XBites. It's so creative. Kids love them. Adults love them. They're nutritious. They taste great. They're sweetened with honey. No trans fats, chia seeds, flax seeds. Oh, the list is enormous of the benefits, and they absolutely taste amazing. So that's it for the questions. Again, we didn't have too many questions on XBites. A lot of them were just sending notes into me, telling me how much they love them and their kids love them, and they share them. They sample the products at all of our tasting experiences. Everybody's passing out XBites, and it's a great product to go out there and sample. So I'm glad you guys are really, really enjoying it. It's great for you. They taste great. And it's the end of our 6-week session on Ask Dr. Leslie. I got to say, this has really been a lot of fun reading your questions and everybody sending me the emails and telling me how you guys are just loving the products and the great results you're getting with all the products and how you're out there sharing the products with your friends and your family and the great results they're getting from it. And the questions really out there in the field have really been good questions. And figure if you have that question, everybody else has the same question. So this session, all the sessions, all 6 sessions on all the products are going to be available, like Josh mentioned. So you get access to it. So if you want to go back and listen to some of them, again, what a treat and what a pleasure it's been for me to be able to get on and talk to and share the questions that everybody's out there, and also going a little bit more in depth with some of the science behind some of the products. It's just been really enjoyable. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for our final and last session on Ask Dr. Leslie. And everybody, take care, keep up the good work out there, and thanks again. Bye-bye.